Beat that with that.
I didn't say that.
Midlife
Okay, greetings everyone. I'm unmuting everybody's mics now. Welcome to finally our Scores edition of Radio Gunk. And, you know, we've hated the Stern Show for quite a while now. There's absolutely nothing to report back to on that show. So we decided to go back a little bit in time and talk about things that were a little bit fun. So with us tonight, I love that everybody put a stupid name except for Chauncey.
I didn't know we were doing that.
I didn't put a stupid name. I would have come up with something better than that.
Wait a second. A lot of people would say Chauncey is a stupid name. So
they already did.
My name, Taffy Jackson, is your porn name, you know, with your first dog and the name of the first street you lived on. So that's where
I should be Tiger Cox.
Okay,
That's so sheepshead day.
Grillo is calling in from the Mets game. Some bizarre part of him thought that he could do it from the bleachers. I don't know what he was thinking, but now he's in some quiet section.
I'm in the corridor. I'm in this section. It's a beautiful view. Check this out. The sun's going down over New York.
Oh, beautiful.
Steve, I said you should go in the toilet.
All right,
Trying to get that blaze up.
We're here with Chaunce Hayden. Chauncey's like a really old friend of the Radio Gunk Show. He, when we first started doing podcasting, was probably one of the first guests that we had on. Grillo.
He's
also,
my really old friend. By the way,
I know.
Me and Chauncey go back to at least 1992.
I know.
He's in the Four Timers Club now.
Okay, we're doing podcast 101, where I'm going to have to mute all you bastards so that I can actually have a conversation with everybody. Okay, so what we're doing here is we have Grillo, who's calling in from the Mets game. We have Chauncey, who is live from Ireland. And we have Hani Lanover, who is actually John, which Grillo thought was actually Lonnie, just for a hot moment before he realized that it wasn't. Nobody can hear you. I need to do my opening. This is craziness already. I knew 4 people was going to be insane, but what we're going to do what we're going to do is a show on Scorsese. Oh, what a bunch of fucking dicks. All right, here we go. Johnny, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, Chauncey, you there?
Yes. I'm
Okay,
here.
good.
Yes.
And then Steven. Okay, so they just needed a little setback, just a little backup for a second. Okay, Chauncey's mic is low. Let me raise you a little bit so that everybody has perfect sound. Okay, no, that's not John. That's Grillo. So yeah, we have a full Gunker house tonight. So what we want to
I thought you meant, first of all, I thought you, like, after I didn't realize it was Lonnie, I realized it's not John Melendez either, because that didn't sound like John Melendez. That was my first thought. I was like, you set me up, bitch, with Stuttering John in the background.
I would never do that. And
No,
you know John.
good.
You know John. John will never come on the show unless he absolutely has to for some reason. Oh my God, I gotta get my dog out. You guys talk.
Bianca.
Reach around.
Monique used to walk.
She has a dog named Reach Around.
You know, Steve, Monique used to live by Scores. She was on Beekman Place. And I think it's in the 60s. Is that in the 60s somewhere? She used to walk by Scores all the time in its heyday with...
She was waiting to get discovered. She was waiting to get discovered.
All right, so what we're basically doing tonight is Mr. Judy Tenuta, who is on our website, and I give him all the thanks in the world for actually wanting to do this show, read the Scores book by, what's his name? Michael Blutrick.
Yeah.
Called Scores, How I Opened the Hottest Strip Club in New York City, was extorted cut of millions by the Gambino crime family and became one of the most successful mafia informants in FBI history. So, not that that really has anything to do with what we want to talk about tonight, but it gave us a lot of insight into what happened at Scores and the mafia relationship that went on there and the money that transpired and all that shit. And I know that Grillo is still friends with Lonnie, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Not like we used to, but the funny story about that whole situation and about that book is I told our mutual friend, Roy McDonald,
Yeah.
that this whole story about how Lonnie was such a good person to me, and we were friends, and I lived down the block, and he would invite me to Scores every night, and I'd bring people like Chauncey and everybody in, and we never paid for anything, and Lonnie never wanted anything out of us, and in the end, I brought a lot of people in, again, like Chauncey, that got exposure for the club. And then eventually Howard would pick me. I'd go to pick Howard up in the morning and I'd still be drunk. And Howard would be like, "Where were you last night?" And I'm like, "The best place in the entire world." The girls were gorgeous. And so eventually they had Fred's bachelor party and so forth and so on. That's when Scores blew up, was Fred's bachelor party, and we all kind of had it. Lonnie, me, say people like Chauncey and stuff. We had an influence on what was going on there because we kept talking about it. And he mentioned that in the book where he said, and Roy was reading it. And he called me up. He goes, "You weren't kidding about that story." He said our publicist had someone that worked on the Stern Show that would come in frequently, and that's how it got to Howard. And it was kind of not just me, but a combination of Lonnie, people like Chauncey and John and
So
Gary getting it to Howard.
how did Ronnie become the Scores guy? Like, how was it
That was
him?
years after I left. Years because eventually, and Chauncey, you could attest to this. Lonnie and Ronnie became friends. Ronnie got divorced, and he was already friends with Lonnie because of the connections that we all brought to the table. They became friends, and that's the end of that.
Well, am I live? Can you hear me?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons too that Ronnie became such a big part of Scores was that Lonnie always needed his bridge to Howard. So when Steve was gone and I was kicked off the show, he needed somebody that could come to the club all the time and would be Howard, a bridge to Howard, basically. And that's what Ronnie became. He became basically all of us combined into one person, which was Ronnie.
So, okay, so let's go back a little bit in time because Chauncey, at some point you were going to write a movie about your time at Scores and the things you've seen and the things that happened there. What happened with that whole thing?
Well, I started to write it, and
Jennifer Lopez stole it.
Jennifer Lopez stole it. No, I kind of got sidetracked, and I still may finish it. I started it, and I may finish it, but it's a compelling story. My story's a little different than Steve's because not only did I have that Howard thing going on, but one of the guys that were the managers there, and I don't know, Steve, but do you remember Tony Lombardi?
I kept away. All I needed was Lonnie. I think you got at some point you were there a lot more than me.
Yeah,
and you got to know like the higher echelon. That's the word.
Yeah, well
echelon. I got it.
Flushing speak. Epilon.
Yeah. Epilon. Epilepticon. You knew the guys that used to like swallow their tongues on the top.
The epilepsy kicked in, and no. What I was gonna say is that one of the managers there, his name was Tony Lombardi, and he and I played high school football together, and we were both captains of the football team. But Tony, we got.
You ever have a circle jerk? Little circle jerk going on? Yeah.
Well, that's another story.
Let's play captains together.
But here we are. We know each other. We've known each other since we were 14 years old. We were captains of the high school football team together. And then I became a journalist, and he became a mobster. And so he went into the Gambino crime family, and I was a gossip reporter in New York. And here we are reunited at Scores, where he was on this
The
end
highest
and I was on
echelon
the
of
other end.
stripping.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. So it's like from both perspectives, how it was like good and evil, you know. Like I was trying, he was going down one path, and I was going down
It
the
sounds
other.
like
And all
good
the,
and good to me. I don't know.
well, but there was a lot. You got to realize what was going on at Scores at the time. It was the most decadent. It was the Studio 54 of the 90s. It really
I
was.
would see that. Stripping
Stripping loaded
reached
with
its
celebrity.
peak in the 90s. You know, that's when it was
Yeah, it was
the
before
thing.
before Giuliani destroyed it. Giuliani destroyed it. Before they had the 60-40 rule with food, Scores was a whole different scene. You know, you could do basically anything in that club. But then when Giuliani cracked down on it, half of it became a restaurant, and it took a lot. I think a lot of the edge off it.
Homo.
Is Steve Romo in the house? What are you doing?
What does he have? What does he have? A fag or something?
So let's go back in time a little bit. You know, there were a lot of things that you kind of teased, Chaunce, from 2008 in the Post. Interestingly enough, Howard was never mentioned in this entire article, which I was kind of curious about because, you know, he's the one who allegedly bought a Mercedes for someone, and we're absolutely coming back to that in a second. You know, he's the one who, you know, got nice happy endings in the upstairs rooms and stuff like that. So I was actually kind of surprised that he wasn't part of what you talked about in terms of the juicy gossip there.
Wait, I'm sorry, you broke up. Say that last part again.
I don't remember. I'm just
He said
basically
something about
saying-
hand
He's
jobs.
saying what is no? Let me translate. He's
Wait,
saying
are you
why was
asking-
Howard not?
All right, one at a time.
Is Poppy anywhere in the house? Is she on lockdown?
Sleeping. She's
She's
Oh,
sleeping.
good.
She's sleeping.
In a
John.
soundproof room?
Go, John.
Yes.
No, all Monique was asking Chaunce is why Howard somehow deleted from this Post article. I would contest he has slight control over the gossip at that time, and they're keeping him out of it. He's always
he
bragging
did.
about not having it. So any negativity he wants to stay free from. And Chauncey has a history with Howard where he reported on Gary's dad's funeral, the Neil Cavuto insider trading stuff. So Howard and the Post is terrified to connect Chauncey's name. That would be my theory.
Yeah. Like who are you going to side with, me or Howard Stern? You know, no one ever sided with me because you had nothing to gain from siding with me. Nothing.
Not at that time. Yeah,
not at that time. But I knew what happened, and I don't know if Steve will agree with this or not. But Howard got one of the strippers pregnant, and he kept her mouth shut by buying her a BMW.
I never heard anything like that.
Stop right there. Stop right there.
And I thought I knew a lot of inside shit.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
No, never. Not. When I left, I didn't give a fuck so much that I didn't care.
Yeah,
to
you
know.
definitely unless you're interviewing Jodie Foster on Howard 101.
Yeah, which I'm the only one that did.
Yeah.
Fuck. Did Jimmy ever interview Jodie? No. Did
No,
Howard?
never.
Did I? Fuck both of them.
Time the fuck out. How do you go to another conversation when Chauncey just said he got a chick pregnant and bought her
No,
a
which-
Mercedes
Because
to
I
shut
think
her
I would have known about that, but you
How
know,
would you
maybe
have known about that?
because I was on. You know the people that I know.
I
They
know
would have
the
all
people.
known that. If someone would have gave me the confidence.
I'll tell you how I know.
I'm not saying it's not true.
I'll tell you how I
it
know.
would be fucking awesome that it would be. But
Okay,
go
I
ahead,
know.
Chauncey.
Yeah, wait,
Mr.
you got the
Page
floor,
6,
Chaunce.
Mr.
I'll tell you how I know.
Mr. You just made page 6. Go ahead.
Exactly.
No, I think I'm banned from the Post too. I think I'm banned from the Post.
Yeah.
I'll fix that wagon.
So one of the managers, my buddy who was working there at the time, so he knew the girl. He knew her. So she was basically telling Howard she was gonna go to the press and to his what? Well, no, he wasn't married at the time. She was gonna go to the press and she was gonna sue him for child support and she was gonna have the baby. So Howard said he made a deal with her through her attorney that if she signs a contract to shut her mouth, that he would buy her that BMW. And it was in page 6. They confirmed that. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chauncey. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think I'm trying to remember back because it was a while ago, but I think that page.
We have the audio, Chauncey. I gave Monique the audio.
Which audio? I'm gonna go to it. What do you got?
It says Mercedes. It's a Mercedes.
A Mercedes.
And
I'm sorry. Yeah,
it's a Mercedes. Howard buys a Mercedes. I sent you. There's 2 from it.
I have it.
Right,
Let's play a little clip and then let's come back to this.
This is them on the show talk.
You guys, seriously, this
I
is
think
like
Chauncey's
a fucking
in this.
nuclear bomb, and I can't believe you guys are like talking like as if this is like a non.
I'm not. I'm
about making me crazy.
Here we go.
And Chauncey, you worked for the Daily News, right? Yep. Okay, maybe you can answer me on this. I think I'm upset about this. I want to laugh at it, but I don't really think it's that funny because it involves me.
What is this?
So Friday, we had the day off, and I spoke to Don, our agent, or maybe it was Thursday. I don't know which day it was after the show. And my agent says to me something really strange. He says to me, "Hey, Howard, did you buy a Mercedes-Benz for a stripper?" And that's exactly what I did. I started laughing. I go, "That's the funniest thing I ever heard."
He doesn't know you.
I go, "Of course not." He says, "I got a call from the Daily News. They want a response." And by the way, we never respond to any of this.
But this, he thought, I better find out about.
They want a response to the fact that you bought a $60,000 Mercedes-Benz for a stripper.
Why did you do that?
Wait. So, first of all, my agent says, "Where are you going to get a Mercedes for $60,000? That's number one. Aren't they about 90?
Come on, of course you can get a small one.
Yeah. I said, "Don, you know me. I ain't buying myself a Mercedes-Benz, let alone some stripper." I go, "What the hell is that all about?" He goes, "Of course I wouldn't even respond." I said,
But he did have to ask you.
Because you got to understand something. If you respond, they'll still print it.
That makes...
But he is responding. See, that's the weird thing about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to respond, but you are responding. Like, you're...
What was that quote? Like, thou protest to what?
The lady does protest too much. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, that lady's protested way too much.
Well, the thought is, Chauncey, because, okay, pregnancy, like, if Howard Stern, who was, huge New York, Philly, maybe he wasn't nationwide at that point, but,
is there another pelican walking around? Like,
exactly.
Monique,
is Mercedes
this
enough?
This is 2002 for your information.
Okay,
So
but
just to
is
give you a
Mercedes
context.
enough?
You have to realize that I knew it was true when I was talking to him on the phone.
Yeah, you're covering for him.
Why?
You're covering
and
for him.
I couldn't say anything. Howard knew that I knew. So Howard had me on to kind of downplay it. You know what I mean? Because I was the big gossip guy.
Wow.
But Howard
Diabolical.
knew that I knew it was true.
Chaunce, was it taken care of, or is there another 19-year-old Stern person out there?
Beakish Stern out there.
It was taken care of.
Is there a big bird roaming around in college somewhere right now?
It was allegedly taken care of.
So...
Allegedly. So Mr. Pro-Life got used his privilege? Is that the deal?
This is why he still uses the condom with Beth, for God's sakes. I mean, he never wants that shit to happen again.
Wait a second. Time out.
I'll just say, Monique, if you were fucking Beth, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Time out.
Monique,
Now,
Monique, maybe that's Noelle Claire.
Time out.
No,
now this is how you know. This is how you know it's true. Howard would have sued the shit out of the New York Post for writing that. There was no lawsuit.
Absolutely.
Now there was no retraction. There was no retraction, and there was no lawsuit. I rest my case.
But
No,
there was never
that's
word
spot
in
on.
the post about the pregnancy, was there? Hold on. Somebody actually just wrote it here. Stripper, how we gave you Mercedes Benz.
Monique, I'm gonna have to be like a real bad fuck up, and the battery is done. So I'm gonna probably black out right now because it's blinking. So we could do part 2 on this another time, but I just everything
Yes.
sort of came together.
All right,
in one
well,
day.
that's the show.
You are such a bad guest.
Thanks, Steve. Maybe we'll catch you in another epilogue.
Yeah, epilogue.
Epilogue 2.
The top epilogue. Epileptic.
Goodbye. Jesus, fuck.
Oh my God!
All right, you know what? Actually, it's a blessing. Let's be honest. It was loud. It sounded like me in my old apartment with the fucking ambulances going by and all that shit. Jesus Christ. So let's talk just a few more minutes about this. So did you know the stripper?
Keep going, Chauncey.
No, I did not know the stripper. I did not know her. I mean, I knew who she. Wait, let me take that back. I didn't know her personally. I knew who she was. I didn't know her personally.
Well, Chauncey, is there anything to the Savannah Sampson in Howard? Is that her?
No,
because didn't he have Sampson. That was his girl there?
No,
Savannah?
No, not Savannah. Savannah. Well, you got to realize something. When Savannah was working at Scores, she wasn't a porn star yet. She wasn't anything yet. She was just a dancer. Back in those days.
Monique, do you have a Savannah Sampson clip? It kind of ties into this a little bit. I don't know if...
What number is it?
It's early on. Shit.
I got it.
You got it?
Yes, I do. Does this tie in, though, John? Does it really? Because I know you.
I think you don't have... I think this is like his favorite.
A stripper from Scores that used to do your show at Savannah. She's been on the show. She became a porn star. So I just want to know if you ever seen... I've seen her in the boxes, but I never rented the movie. Have you ever seen her in any of her movies yet?
I saw one that she hot chick. If I tell you, she is gorgeous. And I've gotten lap dances from her at Scores. And I got to tell you something. That chick is hot.
Did you, when she was lap dancing you at Scores, did you ever think that she was going to wind up in pornography?
No, I did not. Because when you see a chick that hot, it's hard to believe even she's like a stripper.
Right.
Plus, she's married to some rich dude.
And has a kid, right?
Yeah, and is still into, like, going to Scores and dancing.
I think a lot of porn stars were into still stripping. I mean, because, you made a porn, you kind of became popular for doing some videos, and then it's kind of like the Stones going out on tour. You went to all the strip clubs.
She became a porn star because Howard was right. She had this rich husband, and for her birthday, he flew her to Paris, and her fantasy was to do a porn scene with this guy named Rocco. And apparently, this is a famous male porn star who's known for being very rough and crazy.
The Italian guy, right?
Yeah, his name's Rocco. And he's old now, but in those days, he was like he made these really incredible, dark porn movies. And her fantasy was...
Rocco Siffredi?
I just know the name Rocco. I don't know his last name.
Yeah, somebody else even said it.
That's very familiar, that name.
Yeah, but so he took her...
It's really odd. He knows... Go ahead, John.
Anybody. Yeah. Johnny, you be quiet for a little bit.
He took her to Paris. He took her to Paris. She did this scene with them, and they filmed it, and it became like a big hit in the porn world. And so Vivid offered her a contract, and that's how she got started. She was stunningly hot. And she also put out her own champagne, her own wine. She became, really. Her champagne had the highest rating of any champagne. It was like legit. She had her own vineyard in Italy that she actually grew her own grapes, and she made her own wine. And she had a vineyard in France where she made her champagne, and she was the real deal.
And now?
It really was.
Do we know?
I don't know.
Don't you think it's strange, Chauncey? Howard knew her whole biography there?
Well, they talked.
Like, off the top of his head? Yeah.
No, because you're there. Listen, most of the time he's talking to the girls. He's sitting there drinking and talking to the girls. He got to know a lot of them. But the ones that he was bad with, for real, he would never bring up on the air. You'll never know
Right.
their names, and you'll never know who
Yep.
they are. The ones he talks about are the safe ones that he can talk about. The other ones, you're not going to know about.
So walk us through scores, because like I know there were VIP rooms, and I know that there were VIP rooms, and then there were triple VIP type of rooms. So what was the hierarchy there, and how did it work in terms of when you guys would have a party there or go to the hangout?
Well, there was the main floor, and that was for any schmuck that came in could go to the main floor. But then they had the champagne room, which was a couple of steps up on the right hand side, and that was for the VIPs. That was where the celebrities went. That's where David Hasselhoff, George Clooney, Matt Wahlberg, all these guys were up there. And then in the President's Club is where a celebrity would pay big money to get laid or to get a blowjob, and that's where you'd go for full-on sex into the President's Club. And that's where Howard had all his parties, in the President's Club.
So would they open up scores? Because obviously he did this during like the midday most of the time.
Midday,
so,
yes.
Right? So would they open up just for him? Because according to Plutarch's book, they basically would provide all the funny money, do everything, basically call the girls in so that they would be there for the party, and they didn't really make money off of it, but the publicity was worth its weight in gold, right?
Right, and Lonnie would take care of the girls that would show up for that party. That's right. Lonnie, if a girl was willing, and if the girl was willing to take care of the Stern crew, she got even more benefits from the club. So basically they were hookers. I mean, it was a bachelor party with hookers. That's what those afternoon parties were.
One of my friends who is writing to us about this because he's listening to it live is saying, hang on, just give me a second because I got a lot.
I got it too, Monique. You're right. I got it too.
Lonnie I know, but there's a no, Johnny. There's a specific thing I need to read. Let me put my glasses on. Everybody on Stern mostly got massages and would usually only talk to one girl. And word got around that Howard actually took one of the hottest blondes, I think her name was Marie or something like that, and would fuck her at his place until work started. I heard him calling him Scores girl, probably still in his bed. I know it's true. All right, I need to parse into this a little bit. He was basically saying most of the girls were not from the USA. All these girls were brought there to meet. Getting older, I think I realized that this was sex trafficking, and a lot had kids, and a lot said that they were students going to college. But the truth is, they stripped till 4, then slept till 5, and did it all over again.
Well, in those days, it wasn't like it is now. Now it's all Russian. It's Russians and Brazilians that strip, and they're all hookers, full-on hookers. In those days, it was a little. That's what made Scores so special. It really was the girl next door. It was the cheerleader from a Texas high school, or Florida. Texas and Florida were two states where they all seem to come from. And that's what made it so incredible. These really were the girls that lived next door to you that would do these things. It changed when the Russian mob started bringing in the Russian girls, trafficking them in. They chased out all the American girls because they were hardcore, the Russian strippers, and they would blow you for $10, you know.
Bargain.
So where the other girls, you'd have to pay them at least $200. Yeah, you have to pay $200. You know,
the girls, the American girls are like union workers compared to fucking Chinese apple factory girls.
Yeah, and the American girls wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do what the Russian girls would do for that little bit of money. So it changed the entire strip club industry.
Chaunce, you had a phenomenal and I don't know. I guess we should I assume this happens. But you said in the article Monique and I read, it was a short piece from the Post, that girls would fly in there from Seattle and Nebraska for a weekend, strip and go home and make like 20 grand. So there wouldn't even be like New York. It's so insane. It could be.
It makes sense though. Nobody knows you.
You'd never see them twice.
That's right. Yep. They would fly in from these little tiny rural towns all over the country. They'd take a flight. They would have places. Lonnie would put them up. There were rooms around the club, apartments that they would put the girls up in, and they'd work for a couple of nights. They'd make $10,000 and go home. That was common, and they were 19 years old.
Yeah, here's a little delicious nugget from one of our friends. There was an intern that got passed around after she did her internship that worked at Scores parties. I like that one. Damn.
It's possible. I saw so many things at Scores. I saw so many things. One of the funniest things I ever saw was, Jason Priestley from 90210.
Yeah.
He was there. He was there one night, and he brought. Ironically, he met a girl there that wasn't a stripper. She was actually there hanging out. And she was so infatuated, she took him into the men's room and blew him in the toilet. The bouncer caught them and threw them both out into the street. And you can see them both walking the street after she just blew him. Again, the entire club, all the girls, everybody was laughing. They couldn't believe that he was getting a blowjob.
There was a rumor at one point that Ronnie's girlfriend Stephanie worked at Scores. Do you know that at all?
I always thought Lonnie was gay. Oh, what are you talking about, Ronnie or Lonnie? Oh, Ronnie.
Ronnie was gay. Lonnie was gay and a fucking pedophile, but yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I was going to say, Lonnie was as gay could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, there was a rumor that Lonnie and Jerry Steinfeld had a little thing going.
Jerry Seinfeld?
Yeah, in the early days when Jerry was just starting out, that Lonnie and Jerry were an item. Yep.
Lonnie is singularly the most unattractive human being to walk the planet.
Well, but look at Jerry. Well,
that's true.
Lonnie would be called a bear in the industry, right? Lonnie would be a bear, and Jerry would be the girl.
I guess I don't see that.
Come on, picture it. You can do it. Picture
Monique,
it.
who was
Jesus.
it?
What?
Was it Horsetooth Beth said Lonnie looks like Travolta and Dominic Barber had a kid?
That's actually really funny.
Okay, I have questions. So, were you ever around when Howard would have Beth at Scores with him?
No, not in those days. When Howard started seeing Beth, he really wasn't at Scores that much anymore. And at that point, you got to remember, I was already banned from Scores because I had threatened to write the book. What made me want to write that book was when the waiter and the bouncer got killed in the lobby. Do you remember that?
Was that 96,
I have the
Chauncey?
story. I have the story here. If you guys want to just a really quick thing for what he's talking about here.
Yeah.
In 1996, brothers Simon and Victor Didage, Albanian gangsters, were attending an after-hours event at Scores strip club in Manhattan and killed a bouncer and a waiter. Michael Greco, the bouncer, and Jonathan Siegel, the waiter, were two young innocent men in the wrong place at the wrong time when the Didage brothers got into a fight with Willie Marshall, a leg breaker for the Gambino family. Greco was shot in the head and Siegel was shot and stabbed. Simon was convicted of both murders and given the maximum sentence of 50 years to life, and Victor got manslaughter, given 12.5 to 25 years.
They were arrested in Ramsey, New Jersey, at a hotel on Route 17. They caught
Marcy Turk's hometown.
Is it really Ramsey?
Yes, swear to God.
I didn't know that.
That's where she comes from.
That makes sense to me. Wow. So that night, they threw these Albanian guys out, and it was closed. The club was closed. It was after 4 a.m., and they came back banging on the door. They wanted to confront the bouncer that threw them out, and so the waiter and the bouncer came into the front lobby of Scores, and they were kind of having words back and forth through the glass door. They pulled out guns and just started firing through the glass and killed them.
Ah, damn.
Yeah.
So wait,
that's scary.
And then 2 days later in the New York Post, Lonnie got an item into the Post how great the lobster was at Scores. That it had the best lobster in New York.
I'm sorry, food and strip clubs don't Food and strip clubs don't mix. I don't know how people.
But you have to realize all the writers, Lonnie had all the writers. Lonnie had all the writers in New York on the take. Everybody was getting blowjobs. Everybody was having sex.
Monique, can you play the audio? So from the audiobook, I have it queued up of Blue Trick saying the Stern Show was used as damage control for this. They literally there was their PR machine. So they contacted the Stern Show to try to deflect this. This is in the audio.
Let me see if I can share this screen. Give me a second, my friends. And we are queued up, right?
Yeah, it's right at the 10-minute mark.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, shaken but fine. I haven't slept. I have a lot more damage control to do. The press is out in force. They were actually climbing the 59th Street Bridge to get pictures of the victims. I interrupted him, desperately turning my brain to business mode in the hope of calming down. Listen, Andrew, the cops are going to want to putz around in the club forever with crime scene shit. Do whatever it takes. Call who you need to call, but get them out. We have to open tonight or we may never open again. I'll go back to the club. The radio and cable news are continuously playing this story. They announced one dead and one in surgery, but he's not making it either. I sat down on the bed and put a pillow in my lap. I hear you. We need to get word out that we will be open tonight and get our PR staff massaging the media. Okay, Andrew answered. Do we want to brief Howard Stern's people? Get them to downplay it on the air? I just don't know yet, Andrew. We'll play it by ear. Whatever you say. Anyway, go back to bed. I'll be there for the fight. Save me some extra ringside seats. Yeah.
So wait. So is there more to this, Johnny? Or is that the...
Good enough.
Okay.
No, that's just that I found that by
Go, John.
No, I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Finish.
All right. Well, okay, so
No, I thought...
Did they wind up obfuscating on air, or like I don't even know how that wound up working out?
Well, I'll tell you, this is what the relationship with Howard and Lonnie was all about. That's why Lonnie hooked up with Howard. They both washed each other's backs, and in fact, the reason why I was brought in, because did you guys know I had a column called Eye on Scores? I wrote a gossip. I had a gossip column called Eye on Scores for over 15 years, and the column was so Lonnie could put whatever he wanted in it, and if anything bad happened, he would fix it in the column. And then the New York Post would say, Chauncey said in his Eye on Scores column, so everybody's hands were clean, and no one knew where to trace the dirt. For instance, David Hasselhoff got so drunk one night that the club was going to throw him out into the street. Now, this club doesn't want anybody to know that they're going to get press by doing that, because no celebrity would show up then. So Lonnie would call me up and say, Chauncey, we're throwing David Hasselhoff out in the middle of the street. You got to come and you got to take pictures and you got to write about it. So I would go, I'd write about it in Eye on Scores. The New York Post would pick it up, and then Lonnie would say, they said, we asked Lonnie for comment, and Lonnie says, we never comment on our clientele. So Lonnie was protected, looked like he would never tell anyone, but he was calling me to come down to write about it, and then I would give it to the Post, who was in bed sleeping when it happened. So we all got something out of it, and Lonnie always made the club look squeaky clean, like they don't tell on anyone. But it was all coming from Lonnie.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Was AJ still working in the New York trades at that point? Was AJ still a gossip columnist?
Yeah. He was a big player at Scores. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I remember that. That was that was also his beat. Like he would always come up with the dirt.
We had a running joke, AJ and I, because everyone that was a regular at Scores had what we call Scores wives. Every regular had a wife at Scores. So and they would get jealous with each other. When you came in, only that girl would sit next to you, and she'd be with you all night. And
that's Mrs. Hayden for the night.
That was Mrs. Hayden. Yeah, that was my Scores wife. So we all had our Scores wives. Yeah.
All you guys did that. You know
what?
That's so funny that you would even mention that, because every single guy I knew who ever went to a strip club always had a wife. Always.
Yeah.
Like, that's your girl.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
who you're going to see. So
That's right.
I have some other gossip I wanted to throw out to you from some of our friends who are writing to us in real time here. So we were talking about the funny money and what the value of funny money was. And so basically they would give the Stern Show the funny money and they would use it as they saw fit. Gary controlled all the funny money. It made him feel good because everyone would come to him asking for money. He gave you usually around $200 at a time. It cost $20 in funny money for one dance or a massage, but greedy people would have two girls dancing in this fucking pitch black room with the staff sitting ass to ass, which was kind of gay at the time. Apparently, there was the room was so dark that you went into a private pitch black room and you'd have to feel around to find a seat. There were people in there.
That's the President's Club. That was the President's Club.
John and Goodstein mostly, that would try to sit next to Howard while he was getting taken care of.
Because he had all the funny money. Howard controlled the money.
Yeah.
And he would give it out. Yeah, that was the President's Club. And that's all true. Yeah, that's all true. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, here's another. If a girl had any problems with a guy, all you had to do was tell Lonnie, and he would say something great about you, and then I'm sure the girl was never found again. Vinny Favali was the loudest and was always sweating. Jeff Schick was always in his suit and looked like he would just drop a load creepily.
No, the worst part was the food they served because they had a buffet of food. So with all the sweat and the glitter and the hair extensions and this buffet of sushi, I mean, it was just disgusting. It was about as disgusting as you can imagine. Like pasta, ziti, and rotting hot dogs in a tin tray.
Could you guys imagine teaching? Could you imagine teaching? Could you guys imagine teaching Lotus Notes to a strip from South Bronx?
Oh, it was so bad.
No, I just want to go to Relasta. I don't want to know some Lotus Notes. I want Relasta.
Let me teach you Lotus Notes, honey.
Oh, by the way, one of your comments asked where Scores now? Did it become? Scores is now a club called Sapphire. And Sapphire is amazing. Like, Sapphire really is an amazing club, and they're killing it. So they took over Scores and turned it into a place called Sapphire.
But I think that Lonnie wound up going to that other one. Rick's Cabaret, right?
Rick's Cabaret.
So Grillo took me there one day. I'm just going to tell you this story real quick. So we were out having some drinks, and he's like, hey, I got to meet up with Lonnie. Do you mind coming with me? I'm like, where? And he said this club down on, really just like a shithole block on 33rd Street or something like that, right outside of Penn Station. And so we went there, and there's Lonnie with, his best friend. And all the girls in there, and you talk about pretty girls and Russians and all this shit. I'm telling you, all these girls look like they were from the South Bronx with stretch marks and
terrible.
Probably had a baby or two, and big asses, big tits with these disgusting stretch dresses.
Knife wounds.
Exactly. Keloids, all over their face.
Yes, keloids. The infamous keloids. Yes. Okay. Damn those keloids.
That's a disgusting description, I know, but it was really actually horrible. And these girls are just fawning all over Lonnie. I mean, literally just.
Yeah.
I can't believe he still gets that and likes that.
Pussing keloids.
Oh, Jesus. Is Lonnie married? Does somebody actually betroth him?
I don't know. I was in his house once. I was in his apartment once. I was.
Puerto Rican flag tattoos.
Chauncey.
I was very close to Lonnie.
He was a publicist, right? So what was his origin as a publicist? Where was he before that?
Oh, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you because I know the answer to that question. I can't believe I know the answer.
Right.
I'm so excited to break this news. And you may or may not believe it, but I swear to God it's true. So you know how Lonnie became a publicist and became the man we know today? Do you remember a group in the 80s called Dexy's Midnight Riders?
Yeah.
Of course.
Come on, Eileen. Come on, Chaunce.
Eileen, come on, Eileen. Come on. Yeah. Lonnie was hooking up, I believe, with the singer of that group, and became his became his manager. Lonnie became their manager, and that's how Lonnie got involved in entertainment through him.
Jesus Christ.
Come on, Eileen.
Oh, I swear at this moment. Okay, Bella Stern wants to know, can Chaunce talk about the time Howard came on to him?
Came on to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I do know that he did actually. That was I'll tell you when that was. That was when Stuttering John's ex-wife, fiance at the time, was doing a play at Polyesters on down by Wall Street.
Downtown.
Yes, yeah, and it was a private premiere of this play she was doing, and so Howard comes in with Beth, and they sit down in this private little booth in the corner, and there's only 2 seats next to them. And so I walk in with my wife at the time, and Howard, and the guy, the publicist thinks that I'm very close to Howard. He thinks like we're best friends. Yeah. And I don't even really know Howard, except for, on the air. So he goes, "Oh, your friend's here. Your friend's here." I go, "My friend? What friend?" He goes, "Howard." I'm like, "Howard who?"
Howard who?
Howard Stern. I said, "Howard Stern. I'm going to sit you next to him." So you see Howard's face as this guy marches us to Howard and sits me right next to him, and we're squeezed in. Our knees are touching and pressed against each other. And when I told Howard this on the air, I kept taking my knee and moving it over, like it's being on a bus. That's the seats are too small, and I kept taking my knee and moving it further away. And every time I did that, Howard's knee would press harder against mine, and to the point where I was almost at a 90-degree angle, and Howard's knee slowly came over to mine again and pressed against it. And if it was anyone else but Howard, I would have said, "Dude, what are you doing?
What the fuck are you doing?
Like, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. Like, what are you doing?" But it was Howard.
Did you do the Groucho Marx and then just take the leg and put it over your leg?
Yeah, that was the next step. I said, "Dude, you're giving me an erection. Like, you're the friction of our knees rubbing back and forth is giving me an erection. So we're literally having a moment."
He's like 7 feet tall. I mean, he's got no space for those fucking twin legs.
No, he had. You know what you do? You switch with Beth, or you get up, or you ask me to sit somewhere else. But he just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. No pun intended. And rubbing and rubbing. And I was like, the whole way home, I said to my wife, I go, "No, that was weird. That wasn't just a guy who didn't have leg room. That was a guy who was massaging my leg to the point where it felt good. Like, it actually felt good. Like, I felt like I was getting a massage."
When you brought it up on air, what did he say?
Oh, he told me I was crazy, and and then I told him he had an orange shirt. I said, "Straight men don't wear orange shirts." You had an orange button shirt. I said, "There's not a straight man in America as we doing the show with an orange shirt. That's straight."
I have the comments. Didn't he give you like
wet as pussy?
He gave you like an extended shoulder massage leading, so he chubbed you up, giving you an extended shoulder massage before, and that was like, out. He's just drunk and he doesn't know. I mean, and I have the audio of that. He completely denies it, but you're so
every time we went out, every time we'd go out and he was near me, he would rub me. He'd nestle me. He'd caress me. I said, "Howard, you're very touchy for a guy that's a germaphobe. With me, you're very touchy-feely.
That's right.
Like you love to touch me. You love to rub me." I said, to the point where when I see you coming, I'm walking away. I'm trying to stay away. It's harassment. Like, I feel like I feel like one of Weinstein's bitches. Like, I feel like Howard was putting me in an awkward position that if I declined his advances, I wouldn't be on the show the next day. Like, if I didn't let Howard massage me, I couldn't get on the show the next day.
So full circle. Here you are at fucking Scores, where he's like fucking around with these prostitutes who basically are just like sweaty fucking glitter bombs from the fucking South Bronx, and that's okay? Like, that's okay? For like, did they have to wear gloves to fucking jerk him off? Like, how does that work? Or is that selective fucking germophobia? So it's okay if it's some pro that you're basically getting jerked off for free because the funny money's fucking free.
If Howard had germophobia, he would have burnt his studio down after he saw the Cabby porn tape in the studio. He would have poured gasoline on his chair, and yet he still sits on that same chair today.
Absolutely. Cindy Lou Who wants to know, what does Chauncey know about Howard's relationship with Ralph? You got to spill it. Fucking Ralph. What's his story with him?
I'll tell you what. That's one of the best kept secrets in Stern World. I think we all are in agreement that Ralph is gay, right? Does anybody not believe that? Do you think he's straight?
No.
No. Does anybody think he's straight?
No.
I don't think there's a person. Has anyone ever seen him with a girl? A guy who has the keys to the kingdom, who could have anyone he wanted within the Stern universe. Has anyone seen a photograph with him and a female ever?
Well, I wish that Grillo was still on here because he would tell you the classic story about how him and Ralph picked up some girl and then they double teamed her, one after the other, and that they both banged her. Right, Johnny?
That's possible.
Well,
That's
possible. Monique, speaking of Ralph, why don't we play the Ralph gets beat up at Scores clip, which is number 2 that I sent you. So Chauncey, I don't know if this is
moment, I just have another little. I love these little gossip tidbits that I keep getting here. Gary would take his shirt off in the area downstairs that had more light and get his massage down there. Brian how do you say his name? Felon. And Ganji got into trouble over overstaying their welcome. Lonnie invited them because Lonnie slept till noon and had all these young girls around him, and they would laugh at his jokes and do anything to get his favor. People mostly got massages and would usually only talk to one girl, and word got around that I don't even know what's going on here. It was never supposed to be mentioned, but as far as I know, there was no sex at the Scores parties, but all the guys would tell each other what girls would jerk you off in the dark room or let you finger her. Most of the girls were not from the U.S. All these girls were brought over to be meat. Ganji was fun and hit on the girls, and word is he hooked up too because he would decide who would be on the show.
Yes.
I'm sure he was
Ganji
because of that.
Yes. Ganji did well. He did. He had a lot of hair then. He had a lot of hair, and he was skinny and a very good-looking guy in those days.
I don't know anything about him. What were we doing now? I'm sorry, I got myself completely sidetracked.
We were on Ralph.
Ralph.
So this is Ralph gets beat up at Scores. Monique, before you play that, let me just stay on. Chauncey, Rupert Pumpkin wants to know what Neil Travis wrote the article about the Mercedes, and he mysteriously dies a year later. What was your relationship with Neil Travis, and how did that go down?
I don't know. I didn't really know Neil Travis. I didn't know him. I have to say. I have nothing I can share on Neil Travis, except that he was a pretty good gossip reporter. But I don't know if Howard had him killed. It's possible.
There's no chance of that.
I didn't say that.
Everybody always has the rumor, which is in the. I know you're laughing at some of the things that are going by over here. What about the story that Ralph was like a big drug dealer at the time and was dealing drugs at Scores?
Yes.
Oh well. I don't want to get sued, but a lot of people were doing drugs.
Allegedly is the word.
A lot. Without naming names, there were a lot of drugs at Scores. A lot of drugs.
Well, Chauncey, Howard already implicated him because he got kicked out of this place called Spa for dealing ecstasy. So I imagine that goes right into scores. Ralph is there all the time. If he hates chicks, what else is he doing there?
Oh, he's so sleazy. Ralph really is sleazy. I don't get skeeved by a lot of things, but I get skeeved by Ralph. I do, and I always did. And I blame him for a lot of the things. A lot of Howard's downfall, I blame on Ralph. I don't know why.
Oh,
but yeah, I do.
Absolutely.
Because Howard, he has his ear. He's got his ear. And
scarf.
And you can imagine what Ralph. If Ralph doesn't like you, he's gonna convince Howard not to like you. And there were probably a lot of great guests on that show that weren't guests anymore because of Ralph. You know, I hate that guy. But okay, I'm sorry.
I know, we do too. All right, let's go to Ralph gets beat up at Scores, because we all love when this kind of shit happens, right?
Well, but Ralph somehow, lightly punched this guy in the face. Tapped him in the face.
So you don't know what led up to that?
Supposedly kidding around.
It sounds like, his kickboxing was being called into question.
I don't know.
He was showing that he could.
You know how you do that when this is what I think happened. So the dude who's, I don't know, the guy punched Ralph in the stomach. And Ralph was like, hey, man, F you. And the guy was like, F me. And punched him in the face. Now, Ralph was so drunk, I guess he just kind of walked away and said he thought he was lightly hit on the face. He was so anesthetized, he didn't feel the punch, because then all of a sudden he's talking to someone, he feels blood on his face.
Oh my goodness.
He goes to the bathroom, he sees he's bleeding, he can't even close up his face. It won't stop bleeding.
Wow.
Right.
Up in the champagne room.
Right.
The worst part of the story is that I was actually paying for dances.
Okay.
And so I got up to go to the bathroom or go to...
Like Ralph pays for anything.
Do some shots with Big John, something like that. There's a little back bar that's behind everything.
Right.
A little side bar there. I get up and go over there, and we're sort of just, I don't know, goof. Everybody's kind of bombed, and we're just kind of goofing around, horsing around, John's pushing me, and I'm pushing him back, and I don't know. I'm not really clear on why I kind of hit this guy, but he pushed me from the back or something like that, and I just kind of swung around and jokingly, just kind of pretended to hit him, but I kind of hit his face a little bit or something.
You pulled your punch, though.
Yeah.
Ralph's such a fucking...
Oh, that voice, I
know, everything about him annoys me. He's like that fucking smoking Aunt Millie that you have from fucking the Jersey Shore, who you can't stand because she smells like cigarettes and fucking Listerine. There's nothing about him that is even remotely attractive.
The pock marks on the face, the greasy,
the teeth,
curly hair, the teeth, the breath, the whole thing. It's just...
I love the way Linda Ayres says, not drunk, anesthetized. Interesting choice of words. That's true. But, Johnny?
This is 2005, Monique. Chaunce,
you're breaking up a little bit, just so you know.
I
can't really hear what you're saying. What year was it? 2005?
Oh, wait. Hold on, guys. 1 second.
This is 2000.
Wait, hold on 1 second. My daughter just got out of bed, and before I beat her and put her back into bed because she can't hear what we're saying, she wants to say hello. So.
Okay. Where's that little froggy pumpkin? I don't. Hi, cutie. Hi, delicious.
She has to say goodnight.
You really need to say goodnight now. It's what? It's 1 o'clock now. It is seriously time.
She's got school
tomorrow. Oh my God, she's so.
This is little Chauncey. Hey, bed.
Hi, Poppy.
Bed. There she goes. All right, sorry about that.
Chauncey, tell her we're going to turn this topic into Scores the animated series just for her.
Exactly. She's absolutely beautiful, by the way. She really is.
Yeah.
Clearly, she looks like her mom, huh?
Believe it or not, no. She looks like me when I was little. Before this happened. before the scar.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Before the scars of life.
All right, so I want to talk about some other stuff.
All right, go ahead.
I have some rapid fire questions here. Let's see.
Shoot.
All right, after the murder, did the guys wind up going back to Scores after that?
Yeah.
Yes, they did. They did. But at that point, I was starting to fall out of favor with Lonnie at that point. So I think I was banned.
Was Howard even aware of the mafia ties that Scores had? Like,
yes.
How could you not be?
Yeah, of course he was. Yes, of course he was. Well, the boys, the guys, the Gambinos, all those guys sat at a table when you walked in. They all sat at this round table, and you knew who they were. Everybody knew who they were, and they would point, do this, get that guy this, and all their underlings would be coming in. So yeah, everybody knew. It was a place where they all...
the biggest money laundering thing you can possibly do. Did they also, let me ask you a question, did they also, were they also hard money lenders? Because that's, like, the best way to launder money is to be a hard money lender as well. I mean, I got to imagine, yes?
They did everything. They did everything. I'll tell you, you know what the best story at Scores, I think, is to this day, and I know you guys know the story, is when A.J. Benza wrote.
Yeah, I got that.
He was quoted in New York Magazine. They did a big story on AJ. They did like a 7-page feature on him. And one of the questions during the feature was, so AJ, where do you get your gossip? Who are some of the people that give you these tips? And he mentioned Chuck Zito. Chuck Zito. And Chuck Zito. Oh my God, Chuck Zito. And Chuck Zito was the president of the Hells Angels at the time, in the New York chapter. So Chuck Zito has the article in his hand, and AJ Benza comes in one night, and he says to AJ, AJ, I want you to read this article. And AJ takes the magazine and walks away. He goes, no, I want you to read it now in front of me. So AJ has to read the article from New York Magazine in front of Chuck Zito, and then he gets to the part out loud, and then he gets to the part where he says Chuck Zito provides his gossip, his tips. Wow. That's his person, and Chuck goes, so did you tell that reporter that I rat on people? And AJ said, no, I was misquoted. And Chuck Zito said, AJ, I wasn't gonna hit you, but because you're blaming what you said on a woman, now I am. He goes, but I'm gonna give you an option. He said, we can do it. Oh no, the manager comes over and goes, I know you're gonna hit AJ, but do you want to do it in the President's Club or in my office? And Chuck goes, we'll do it in the President's Club. So they go into the President's Club, and AJ's going to get punched out by Chuck Zito. They're arranging where it's going to happen. And they go into the President's Club, and he says, now, AJ, don't put your hands up. If you try to block the punch, then I'm going to come back with another one, and that's going to be worse. So he knocked AJ down, knocked him out in the President's Club, picked him up, dusted him off, and said, now we'll have dinner. Now we'll sit down and have dinner. And I always told Chuck Zito, yeah.
I haven't seen a setup that good since Tony Lombardi in 1978. We just happened to have the audio of that in Monique's email.
Lexicon of sound. What is it?
It says AJ Benza versus
Chuck Zito, as told by Trump and Bodyguard.
Yeah, it's 9 and 10. 9 and 10.
Okay, how
AJ
long
versus Chuck Zito, as told by AJ.
How long?
It's just play the beginning of it and stop.
All right, here we go.
When you feel like it.
Sean Penn at a nightclub.
Right.
This chick followed me for 8 days to write the story. This Jewish chick from Yale, which by the way is a mistake.
Is that Chuck talking?
That's AJ.
Oh, that's AJ. Of course, that's AJ.
Yep.
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So she follows me for 8 days and nights, and we go to Scores one night, and Sean Penn is there with Chuck.
Right.
And Chuck comes over and says, oh, we're having a good time. Come sit down, have a drink. I said, well, I'll be there later. So the girl says, who's that? I said, that's Chuck Zito. He's a Hells Angel. He's a tough guy. He's a great guy, bodyguard. He's friends with all the stars. She says, oh. About 4 days later, she asked me, how do you get your information about all these movie stars and everything? So I said to her, the bottom line is in this world, everybody's a rat. Everybody gives everybody up.
Right.
She took that quote and placed it right after my meeting Chuck.
Oh.
You do not ever do.
You in the magazine you're calling Chuck Zito a rat?
I didn't call him that.
No, you didn't. Yeah. She implied that you did.
So
you deserved a
When
beating.
I saw that, I called her. I said, you just got my ass kicked.
Gee,
what's the
you're
big
lucky he
deal?
didn't kill you.
I said, big deal. This is the street. I said, you're a Jewish girl from Yale. I'm a Brooklyn kid. You're not going to kill.
You don't understand. You don't call a guy. He beat up Jean-Claude Van Damme. Chuck Zito beat up Jean-Claude Van Damme.
What's something he said in the bathroom?
You say Jean-Claude Van Damme had the nerve to say about Chuck Zito in the bathroom. He said, Chuck Zito has no heart.
He said.
Yeah. No heart.
Chuck gave me the whole.
You were calling him a rat.
No, I wasn't.
No, I mean, you weren't calling him a rat.
No.
You were saying the lady attributed it to you.
She's horrible. I said he should have smacked her.
Because I know you've beaten a few guys up for saying
sure.
stuff.
Can you imagine AJ standing there reading?
Yeah, AJ's such a fucking tough guy. AJ.
AJ's the best. AJ's the best. He is.
But how great is Chauncey's memory though, Monique? It's verbatim what AJ said.
Yeah.
To the syllable.
Yeah. It's a classic score story.
That is classic.
The clip after that, it's Trump's tail.
Yeah, tell me.
You see the next one?
Just tell me the number. I have so many things here.
Monique. It's right after the one you just saw.
Help me to help you. They're not in any order whatsoever. AJ to Chuck
Yes, it is.
Zito was
I
told
sent
by
it to you.
Trump.
It's 10.
Babe,
as told
just
by
because you
Trump.
sent it to me in order doesn't mean I have it in order. It's the same way my fucking mind
All
works.
right.
It's never in order.
Billions.
The last boxing match I saw you in was Chuck Zito. He beat the crap out of you. What happened to you with Chuck Zito, AJ?
It was honorable.
You were down for the count. A friend of mine was there, Howard.
Yeah,
right.
He said he never saw anybody so unconscious. They thought he was dead.
You know what?
You were laid out on the floor of the place.
Exactly. I make no bones about
You know who saw that? Matt Calamari. He saw that. He said, I never saw a guy get hurt so bad in my life. You know how long the fight lasted, Howard?
How long?
3.5 seconds.
No, see, it's no big
One
deal.
punch.
Hey, is Matt the big pussy guy you walk around with? That big pussy bouncer? Matt Calamari.
Yeah, why don't you say it to his face?
I swear to
AJ?
Christ, in my book buddy.
AJ, say it to his face.
I would love to. I'm
You'd
scared of no
last shorter than you. Ask Chuck Zito about that. You'd last shorter than you did with Chuck.
You know what I'll do with you? I'll beat up Matt Calamari in the ass, and I'll
you'll
throw you
beat
up
him
to a
up.
tall spot.
Wait, Donald and
All tough guys. Can you imagine if they would have known he was going to be fucking president? I think it's the fucking funniest thing about all those tapes.
Donald Trump used to call me at 3 a.m, wake me out of bed, and tell me about the girls he was having sex with.
I know. As a matter of fact, I remember one time you played on air for us.
Yeah. I got one of them on tape.
That was great.
Yes.
That was great. Yeah, we were the first ones to have that, and nobody really appreciated it.
I know it deserves so much real estate.
It really deserved more credit than we got for that.
Another great score story is Pauly Shore. Everybody remembers Pauly Shore.
Yeah.
So Pauly Shore was in love with this girl at Scores, in love with one of the dancers, and so he used to ask her out all the time, and she'd say, well, I'm so tired when I get home, but if you want, I'll call you and we can have phone sex. I'll get you off on the phone when I get home. He goes, yeah, that would be great. So she lived with a transvestite roommate, and she told her transvestite roommate about Pauly. So every night, this transvestite would call Pauly, and he would whack his meat to this transvestite, thinking it's the girl at Scores.
Thinking it was the girl.
And he did this for like a year. For a year this went on. And he never knew. He never knew that it was a dude that was on the phone with them.
That is absolutely a classic fucking thing that girls would do.
There
to
was
somebody.
so many great stories at Scores. There was
Tell
so
us
many
a little
great
bit
stories.
about Sandra Bernhard, because one of our favorite stories about Sandra is the fact that she went on the Stern Show one time and basically said, I know of Beth because she used to be in the party circuit. And it's kind of one of those clips that we loved listening to, but never hear anymore. Like, it's nowhere to be found. But, Sandra was definitely team Beth was a party girl. What's your thoughts?
I would agree. A girl from Pittsburgh, a model, trying to make it. A C-list model, right? A C-list catalog model. And when I say catalog, I mean the kind of comes in the mail like a flyer, like the insert, an insert model for like discount clothing. That was Beth. So she was trying to make it. So yeah, she was good looking. She was tall. She was. Why not? I'm sure Beth has a lot of great stories to tell that we'll probably never know about. You can imagine.
It's the shiksa dream of any Jewish man. Are you kidding?
She ended up with Howard Stern. You think that was an accident? You think that was just an accident? What was she doing at dinner that night?
Who was she doing at dinner that night? Some Australian dude. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What, Johnny?
When she took the bus to be the cover girl of Steppin' Out magazine, she became A-list that day.
She did become A-list that day. Well, I told you guys, I lived in a town called Glen Rock, New Jersey. And before she even was dated Stern, before they even knew each other, she would take the bus to Glen Rock because there was a little strip mall in town that had catalog company in the back of the strip mall, and she would go there for work. So she would take the bus, and I'd always see her standing at the end of my street to catch the bus. And she was hard to miss. She was like 6'3", 6'4", tall, skinny, beautiful blonde girl. So I always saw her. So when she started dating Howard, I know her. I actually know her. She's at the end of my street almost every other day. So yeah, Beth.
And did she recognize that you knew who she was? Like, did you meet her? Did you know her?
No, I didn't know her. Just she was at the end of my street. I passed her all the time, waiting for the bus.
No. I mean, after Howard started dating her, were you introduced to her?
We became close. Yes, we became very close. I was very close to Beth. We were. In fact, she wanted to come to my house for dinner with Howard, but Howard wouldn't do it. Beth and I were getting very close, and we would always text each other. We'd always call. We were close. Yeah.
Do you have a feeling that she didn't really have that many friends, though? Like that she kind of, once she kind of latched onto Howard, that
yes.
like his friends became her friends, kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah. She didn't have any
feel
friends.
That about her.
That's so well said. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I think her world became Howard's world, and she was desperately seeking a world of her own. And she liked me, she liked me. So I think if it wasn't for Howard, we probably would have hung out a lot. I really do. She wanted to bring Howard over for dinner to my house, and I think if I didn't have that falling out with Howard, it probably would have happened. Yeah, it probably would have happened. Yeah.
All right, Johnny, what else you want me to play? John?
You want to go back to clips? Okay. How about Monique? You hear me?
I hear you. I hear echo though.
Monique?
But go ahead.
Okay, good. How about we go to Chauncey's falling out with the show, and it says Chauncey versus Ronnie over the scores book. That would be 3.
Oh, so is this all back to you? Is this about the Plutarch book or about Chauncey writing the book?
Since we're talking about Beth, let's go to Beth. Scores for Beth drags Howard out of scores.
Okay. Here we go. Hang on.
That's 4. This is from 2002. Chauncey's still in good league with the show.
I'm sitting there, and some girl comes over and gives me a lap dance.
For free?
Yeah, for free. Was giving me a lap dance, complimentary lap dance.
Yeah, I got so turned on, and I was.
Did you?
Watching Howard get a lap?
No, it was just an amazing experience.
I'll tell you, 3 words you don't hear a lot is complimentary lap dance. That doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's hot watching like Howard, and then Beth, and Howard gets a lap dance, and Beth's right next to him, and all of us, and then I get a lap dance. My wife's right next to me. It's very.
Did your wife get a lap dance?
Oh yeah, because she's cool about it. It was just very ironic.
Well, anyway, so I'm getting a lap dance, and this hot chick is giving me a complimentary lap dance, and I'm getting into it, and I guess she leans over, she starts kind of talking to me.
With the hair
in the face.
Can't see what's going on.
Beth looks over, she goes, "You're kissing that girl." I go, "I ain't kissing. I'm not kissing anybody. I'm just sitting here." She goes, "Okay, time to go."
Oh!
Is that what happened?
Oh yeah, pulled my ass right out of there.
Yeah, because it sucks. Because as soon as you leave,
The girls away.
There goes everything.
I know.
There goes the
I'm
party.
having a great time.
So was I.
And I'm not dumb enough to start making out with some stripper in front of my girlfriend.
And you left at the wrong time. I was almost convincing my wife to freaking,
Really?
To like get a nice lap dance, and but it was, it was
You
like
ruined
as soon as you because as soon as he leaves,
Oh no, I got pulled out.
there goes the money.
And you know what? That kind of turned me on. That I got pulled out of Scores.
I will say, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention this, but I'm allowed to mention anything with like
what
with you and Beth, but like little friction.
Friction between me and her?
Yeah.
About what?
But the calendar and all that stuff.
There was no friction.
No.
No friction. No friction. You know what that was though too? That's Beth trying to be the girl that Howard wants her to be.
The cool
you're dating
chick at
this
the strip club, right?
multi-millionaire. Of course, you wanted to go to a strip club, you're going to a fucking strip club. I mean, you do what you...
In those days, all the guys tried to take their girls and wives to Scores. They really did. I don't know any guy that didn't at least once attempt to take his girlfriend or his wife to Scores. And it's always a disaster. Always a disaster.
That never works out. That never works out.
No. Because the girls are in the locker room licking their chops. It's like a challenge to them to piss off the girlfriend or the wife. It's a cry to battle. You're not going to win. You're only going to lose. You're only going to lose.
Yeah, there's no good can come of that. So,
No
Kilo
good.
Sierra Alpha wants to know, ask Chauncey if there are any good gay Howard stories.
It's totally good one.
I just gave a good one, didn't I?
You did.
You
A little knee tap is really, that's...
I didn't say a little knee tap. It was a knee massage. A knee massage. You sit next to a guy when you're a guy and you take your knee and you start rubbing it against the other guy's knee. That's not a knee tap. A knee tap is when you accidentally bump knees for a second and you say, excuse me. A knee massage is when it actually feels good, like it almost puts me to sleep. The rubbing almost puts me to sleep because it's so relaxing. That's not a knee tap. That's a knee massage.
All right, do you know
As
anything?
Mark Harris would say, I love
What?
the knee.
Can you tell us anything about that joint pay-per-view event with the Women of Scores? Was that something that Scores set up? Do you remember that at all? Is that something that you're familiar with?
The Women of Scores, they tried all that kind of stuff, but that was later on. They tried to take as much advantage of the fame that they could, but at that point, Scores was already starting to be what's the word? They jumped the shark. They really did. They jumped the shark. There were better at that point. There were better strip clubs. Howard was starting to get played out on it. The girls weren't the girls that they used to be. Like someone else mentioned, a lot of Russian girls were coming in. They were chasing out all the American cheerleading type girls, and they started the 60-40 food rule with Giuliani. The whole strip club industry just changed. It really did. After 2000. It was gone. It was over. It was. Didn't exist anymore.
I love this question from
Jumped
David
the
the
shark when
violinist.
John Hines started going.
Was Chauncey there for Doug Goodstein's bachelor party when Benji ate out a girl through a cookie wrapper?
No, I wasn't there. If I was there, I wouldn't admit to it. No, but I saw. But I did see a lot of things there. I saw a lot of things that were similar to that there. Lonnie was great. Lonnie was so great at setting us all up. When I say, you can't even imagine. You can't. I would walk into Scores, and this is every night. This is not once in a while. This is 7 nights a week, Sunday to Sunday. You come in, Lonnie would take you and say, oh, welcome, come with me, Chauncey, come with me. And he'd bring you up to the champagne room, and he'd clear out an entire table, and there would be a tray of kamikaze shots, and then a plate of lobster tails, and then there would be George Clooney, Madonna, Sean Penn, Mark Wahlberg. They'd all be sitting next to you, and he'd say, Mark, this is Chaunce. No, I'm sorry, Mark Wahlberg. Did I say Matt before? Mark.
Matt, you said Matt.
Mark
You said Matt
Wahlberg. I was thinking of Matt. I was thinking of Matt Damon. Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
So he would say, Mark, this is Chauncey. Chauncey is a very famous writer. Chauncey, this is Mark. Mark has a new movie coming out. He wants called Boogie Nights. Mark, do you want to tell Chauncey about it? And he'd say in that very feminine voice, well, Chauncey, you know, I do have this movie coming out called Boogie Nights, and it's really a great movie, and I think everyone's really gonna like it. And you'd sit there, then Sean Penn would be sitting next to you saying, what movie you have coming out? More, and you'd be there all night with all these girls around you and doing shots and closing the place till 5 a.m. There was nothing like it. And then the next night, it would all happen again. Madonna would be sitting next to you. I mean, it was just insanity. And it was every single night for years.
Who pays for that? Who pays for that?
You couldn't believe it. My tab had to be in the tens of thousands per week. Tens of thousands per week. I don't know. I guess the club was making so much money, because I can tell you the strip clubs that I know of now, that I know their finances, they're making up to $400,000 a week.
That's exactly what Blue Trick said, Chauncey.
Cash business.
That's exactly the figure Blue Trick said.
Yeah, that's what they make. So you can imagine, for them to spend 10 grand on a couple of reporters, that's nothing. It's nothing. And then they have you in their pocket. They know they can ask you for any favor anytime they want. You'll write whatever they tell you to write. They know that. They own you. They own the politicians. They owned they owned everybody. Everyone that had any influence in New York was owned by Scores, and that includes all the celebrities. You know, and then they get a couple of good items on you with the celebrities, and you had to go to the club, because if you stopped going to the club, Lonnie would drop an item about something you did that you may not want your wife to know about. So you were a prisoner, like you had to go to Scores all the time, and it was awesome when you were there, but you had to go.
Yeah, I see a good parallel from my days at Limelight. Like, I feel like it was the Limelight of the strip world, because I would go hang out up at the VIP room and see everybody. It's like Duran Duran and Andy Warhol before he died, and Mason Reese was always there every fucking week, and everything in the VIP room was comped, and there were like drugs galore.
Yeah.
I mean, like insanity.
You didn't know what a bill was. You didn't know what a bill was. There was
I don't think I ever paid nothing ever.
Never. Whatever I wanted. And if I wanted to bring somebody with me, if I wanted to impress a friend or a client, an advertiser from the magazine, same treatment, because they were with me. So whoever was with me got the exact same treatment. Yeah. It was just unbelievable. The 90s, the whole 90s, from 91 to 99. That's how it was.
Yeah.
Delicious. Mr. Judy Tenuta, who is actually the reason that we're doing this show tonight, because he read the Blue Trick book, he really wanted to know if Howard was friends with Blue Trick. Was he or not?
Friends with who?
Blue Trick, the owner.
Blue Trick.
No, I would say Howard never really got to know those guys. I don't think so. No. Lonnie was the guy. In fact, Lonnie would have been angry at that. Lonnie didn't want Howard going around anybody but him, because if Howard became friends with the owners, why would they need Lonnie? So Lonnie was protective of that relationship with Howard. They would have to. They would have to go through Howard. They would have to. Are you going to get into the whole pedophilia thing and all that stuff that went on there? And
I'd rather not. I mean, listen, I think
because that's where that end of it led to. That was that whole end of it, and I think that's why Howard would stay away from it.
Sure.
So no, I would say Howard had almost nothing to do with any of that. It was all Lonnie.
Yeah.
Lonnie was. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Question: any stories about Jackie at Scores? This guy Fudgicle says, "I always think of Jackie as asexual." That's not true.
Yeah. Well, it's not that far off. He was such an alcoholic back then. He was such a drunk that Jackie would rather drink Heineken and all night long and smoke weed than get laid. There's no question about that. He had Nancy at home, right? I don't think he was really interested in girls. I don't. I think he was asexual. I hung out with Jackie a lot, and it never even came up. Girls never even were on the table. It was just drinking, smoking, drinking. That's all. That's all Jackie was about. Now Artie was another story. Artie did take advantage of all the quirks that went along with being Artie.
So, were you friendly with Artie?
When I was banned from the show, they all had to hate me because Howard hated me. No. They didn't know why they hated me, but they knew they had to hate me because Howard said so. So I lost. The only one that stayed friendly with me was Grillo and Jim Florentine. Jim Florentine always stayed a good friend of mine. But all the others, they had to do what Howard asked, otherwise they could be next. It was like the Salem witch trials, Once you're a witch, nobody wants to come near you, and I was declared a witch.
You were then persona non grata, my friend.
That's right. That's why I was one of the first to get canceled. In the cancel culture world, I think I was one of the first to be canceled.
Does it surprise you that Howard hasn't been canceled by now?
It did for a while. When it started, when all the cancel culture started, I kept looking in the paper every day to say, "Oh, Howard's got to be next. Howard's got to be next. Tomorrow, it's got to be Howard tomorrow." And it never was. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, he's untouchable. He can't be touched. And the only thing I can think of is that he makes too much money for too many people to be canceled. So the people that would have to do the canceling weren't about to give up their livelihoods and their success, because without Howard, there's no serious. And
also
I don't
too,
think they were willing to let that happen.
112 Productions owns his current show, which he sold some of it off to Sirius, but it's just like the Letterman thing. Mm-hmm. And all the print, intern, PAs, and that because Worldwide Pants owned the Letterman show. CBS couldn't lower the boom on.
Right.
His show wasn't getting enough ratings to defend that.
Right, and I'll tell you what. There's something else. I was just going to say, you're right. The other thing is that Howard was so not Howard anymore by the time the cancel culture came, that I think most of the people doing the canceling didn't really know who Howard was. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the people who are woke, who are canceling, probably never even listened to a Howard Stern show. So it wasn't, in their mind, if they tuned in, Howard's this guy that gives these flattering interviews to people. We're not going to cancel him. They weren't there when he was taking dead girls' bones out of a box or putting on blackface, you would think today that might get you canceled, but for Howard, it was so long ago that the people doing the canceling weren't even alive then. So I think he flew under the radar.
It's coming. I gotta believe that it's coming. Monique, I got a Jackie clip in there if you want. They would talk about. It says Jackie's birthday they spent there. This is like, Jesus, what's the name? Jackie, Funny Money and Jackie Party. So they talk about the funny money dealings, and then it's like Jackie's birthday in a blizzard of. I think it's. I don't know if Chauncey was there.
I was not at that party. No.
All right, Chauncey, Funny Money Jackie Party. I got it. All right, here we go. Hopefully.
We had a big scores party on...
How did that go? You had a couple of celebrities there. Who showed up?
Well, I'll tell you the whole thing. This was a party that we threw 2 weeks after we just had a party at Scores.
Right. They're coming almost every day now.
Yeah. Well, I thought about it over the weekend. And Lonnie, the guy who runs Scores over there, is really a gracious guy and everything.
But he's been incredibly hospitable to you.
But anybody besides me get the vibe that maybe Lonnie's had enough of us for a while?
Yeah. Does the expression "worn out, you're welcome" ring a bell?
Yeah, right? Did you feel that too?
Nothing. I can't give you an incident.
There wasn't a for instance.
You know, it's hard. It's weird, though, because at the end of every party, he always grabs me, and I think the other guys too, saying, Jackie, you got to come up with an excuse for you guys to get back here as soon as possible.
I know, and then we do it, and then I get a feeling...
It's like when you have company, and they say, God, I hope you can make it again soon, but if they showed up the next day, it's like, them again.
Well, you're so right about that. Yeah. Wearing out our welcome. Yeah.
Much less girls.
We have no, it was a great party. I didn't think there was less women. Well, there were a couple less women. That was because of the snow. Right. Some of the girls couldn't get there because of the snow, but usually we're on like we keep getting more and more money. When we first got there, they gave us $10,000. We thought that was amazing. Right.
Now every party has.
Then the budget was like up to like $25,000, but apparently last party
we blew away.
Because we had all the listeners. Right. We went a little over budget, so Lonnie was just trying to reel it in a little. So we were. Because don't forget, they got to pay the girls.
Sure, they're paying. You're not paying anything.
Right.
This is a free party.
But
of course it's a free fucking party. I mean, they were such schnorrs about it, so they would constantly get fucking jerked off or blowjobs or finger fucking girls, and that's how they rolled. I'm loving Sarah's thought on Howard. Howard had to buy the Mercedes to pay off the broad who caught him blowing the Persian bar boy behind the dumpster.
I saw that.
I don't think that's true, but it's okay.
Well, and again, I go back to that story. Nobody got sued, and there was never a retraction. So
great.
So there you go. So are you going to stick by that story that Howard may have gotten PG?
Classic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it. All right, Chaunce, I'm going to let you go now because we're going to talk about some more current Stern-isms. But thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. Yeah. And
well, Monique, can we? If you're going to let him go,
yes. Finish your thought. Yes.
John.
Yes.
Your name's
Monique.
John. John. Yes.
If you're going to let him go, I think we should end it with. The audio of Chauncey and his death threats from SFN.
Okay. Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah, right.
Let's leave on a positive note.
Positive note, Chauncey's
on a positive
death
note. Let me set this.
Chauncey's death threat, John. John.
Yeah, this is Howard 100
Chauncey's
News. This is when Chauncey's complete enemy of the show.
Okay. All right, hold on a second. I'm gonna have to refresh myself here. Give me one.
I have PTSD. I'm gonna have flashbacks and go back into therapy.
You never heard? Yeah, well, you'd never heard this. This is from Howard 100 News.
This is a Vietnam moment for me. Go ahead.
All right, hang on. Let me see if I can get it. All right, here we go.
Oh my God. All
right, bear with me, my friends.
100. The Stern fan, who allegedly posted a threat against Chaunce Hayden on the Stern Fan Network, speaks out. The posting called for Hayden's demise after he went on Fox television, representing himself as an authority on the Howard Stern Show, and now she is facing criminal charges. In an exclusive interview, Howard 100 News reporter Steve Langford spoke with her. He filed the story.
Howard 100 exclusive.
It was not a death threat. It was not me telling him, I'm coming to kill you.
When joking around about the Stern Show gets serious.
A few days later, I got a summons in the mail and letting me know that I had been charged.
Dathian, as she goes by on the Stern Fan Network website, speaking out for the first time on being charged with making a terroristic threat against Chaunce Hayden. And she's talking only to Howard 100 News.
I was just sick, I thought that my life was going to be completely ruined and that I was going to end up losing my job and going to jail.
It has been a rough few weeks for this 30-something Stern fan who lives in the Midwest. Howard 100 News agreeing not to reveal her true identity because neither her employer nor her family knows she's in trouble.
Then my employer finds out about it.
This is like Tiger Lily threatening like Stuttering John or something. I mean, this is like the most ridiculous fucking thing.
Well, I'll tell you the story. I can tell you the story.
That's a great Gunkra.
This is a great story. So this is when they were all in a frenzy about hating me. Like that website was in a frenzy. It was all about hating me, the whole thing. And I laughed at all of it. Some of it I thought was really funny. Like some of it made me laugh. But then she posted that I'm going to put a bullet in your head. And then she posted again. No, I'm very serious. Here's your address. This is your address. I know where you live, and I'm flying to New Jersey, Newark Airport. I have a gun, and I'm going to put a bullet in your head.
Deserve to be fucking tracked down and in trouble.
So I went to the local police station. I said, look, I don't know if this is true, but if anyone ever puts a bullet in my head, I think this is the person that did it. So arrest this person if I wind up with a bullet in my head. And that I didn't press charges or anything, but they did. They saw it as a very real threat. So I had nothing to do with it. And because it was across state lines, it was a federal offense. She was planning on crossing state lines to kill me. So now the feds got involved. They come to a house, and wait, it gets better. They knock on her door, and she's this Midwest soccer mom, and they say, "Look, we don't think you meant it, but we got this complaint and this message from you that you want to put a bullet in this guy named Chaunce Hayden's head. We just need you to say you were joking, and we'll go back and forget it." She goes, "No, I'm serious. I am going to put a bullet in his head." And they said, "No, you don't understand. We're really the police. Like we're asking you not
from
to
the
say."
Stern Show.
This is not. This is. I'm not Shuli. Like that. We're here to arrest you. And she said, "No." Well, she goes, I wish I could say that it's not true, but I really do want to put a bullet in his head. And if I ever had the opportunity, I would. So they arrested her, put her in jail. They booked her. And then Howard's like, "What are you picking on this little girl?" I had nothing to do with it. All she had to do was just tell these gentlemen that she was joking, and they would have walked away. But she kept saying, "I want to kill him for real." That's the real story.
All right, you got to see what's going on in the chat here.
I know. They're going wig crazy.
Wigika. Everybody wants to know. And I know we've talked about this before.
Oh, yeah. Can't do it enough.
The wig.
The Pharrell hair system.
What's the
Spencer
story?
Coburn.
Farrell hair system. The Farrell hair system.
The Farrell hair system. So it's a system.
It's a system.
Do you know about the hair system? Do you know about the system?
I know about it because the Farrell Hair Company were advertisers of mine at Stepping Out magazine, and so I would go there every couple of weeks to collect a check from Richard Farrell, who owned it. And if you look at a picture of Richard Farrell on the internet, you'll see his hair is exactly the same as Howard's hair. Exactly. They bring up Richard Farrell and look at Howard. So that was kind of ironic.
And Ralph.
And Ralph. They all have the exact same hair.
Yep.
Because that's Richard Farrell's hair.
Oh my God! Okay, wait. I gotta put this up for everybody. Hold on.
So Richard Farrell tells me to wait in a private suite while he gets my check. So when I'm in there and it's a private suite, it's the one he said. He tells me, "Am I wrong?
You know what he looks like? What was the name of that movie that was like the worst movie ever made, and then they joked about it, and no, and then somebody else made a movie of it, and he comes out of the stairwell and he's like, "Oh, hi, Steve." It's a classic scene from a shitty movie. Oh, it's gonna drive me insane. This guy is classic, by the way. This is classic.
This is Richard Farrell. So it's Howard. It looks like he's wearing Howard's piece. So he goes, "This is the room Howard always goes to." He goes, "This is Howard's room." I'm like, "It's Howard's room? What does that mean?" And so I go in there, and there's a picture of Howard wearing the wig with a sign. He signed it saying, thank you for the greatest service, in the business," or something along those lines. And I'm like, holy shit, this is where Howard goes to get his hair glued on. And Richard has his hair on his head. He's wearing Howard's wig.
Tommy Wiseau, that's his name. All right, now I'm gonna have to bring that up because you guys will now appreciate this. So here, check him out.
Oh,
this guy's classic, by the way. That's like a thing from another planet. Jesus Christ! All right, hold on. I have to find this for you.
Ralph, Howard, and Richard Farrell all have the exact same wig.
That's every variation too. Every time.
Every variation. Yep.
Okay.
They're basically bad toupees. I mean, that's what they are. and they glue these things to your head. It's a fine mesh. It's a fine mesh backing with the hair coming out of it, and they glue it to your head.
All right, I'm done with this shit. All right, so
have you had enough? Have you had enough?
We have had enough. We have had enough.
We need a part
Johnny,
2.
We have had enough. All right,
okay, guys.
Chaunce, love you so much. Are you coming back to the States anytime soon?
I'll be back with Poppy for Thanksgiving. For the first time, she's coming to America. So we'll be in the States Thanksgiving week.
Awesome. I would love to see you if you're here. I really.
I'll be staying in New York City. I'll be staying in a hotel in New York.
All right, I will text you. All right,
come by and have a glass of wine. All right.
Chauncey, love you. Take care.
Thank you, Chauncey.
All right, there we go. So, yeah, let's. I'm exhausted.
Were you getting a reverb off him?
Yeah, but I didn't want to continually think about it, so I just let it go.
Yeah, I couldn't. Okay. Yeah. You had to power through.
It's okay. So all of you guys, just so you're aware of what happened, and we'll give you the story now. So Chauncey is our friend on Twitter, and he follows me and he follows John, and he noticed that John, he noticed that his ex, ergo his baby's mama, followed John. And so he reaches out to John and is like, hey, do you know this girl so-and-so, whatever her name is, don't even mention it. Do you know who she is? And John's like, no, I don't know all my followers. I just know that she's, somebody follows me.
I'm vast.
Your vast amount of knowledge on the Twitter followers. So, so how'd you hook that whole thing up? Like, what happened with that? It's really because of John that he was able to find
He DMs me, and I can only imagine. Do you think she like Googled Chauncey, and my YouTube channel came up, who has like tons of salacious Chauncey audio, and so she looked me up with the Twitter, and then decided to maybe, you know what? I tweeted Chauncey back then to get him on our show, and I think she just was fooling around on Twitter. And connected me to him somehow.
We already had him on the show. He was already our friend.
We hadn't. I don't.
1000%.
Yeah.
He was early. He was super early. So how did you hook him up? Like, what happened there?
He saw her on my, and he was asking me, like, do I know her? He's like, sort of politely drilling me in DM, do I know her and stuff, and I didn't know it, and then he decided, like, almost like in the moment, I'm going on this like Sons of Anarchy, special season finale mission to get my daughter back.
To get my daughter back.
He just,
exactly.
Yeah, and he did. And he just decided to go to Ireland. I didn't think he was going to stay.
And he did. Yeah, whoever thought that he would stay? I wonder how he survives. I wonder like how he supports himself out there.
I don't know if anybody gives a shit, but you don't have to stepping out. He sold stepping out to Bill Gates.
Okay, see, so we were able to get through way more score stuff than anybody needs to know about. I do want you to know that the person, one of the persons who's been dropping it about the show all night, just really isn't. He thinks that he's a little bit full of shit in terms of, because he was never at like the daytime parties, so how would he know about what was going on there? I do also want to say the whole pregnancy thing and the Seinfeld gay and all that stuff, that's his opinion. We have no idea about it, so all of that goes into the allegedly realm of things, and this is Chauncey just kind of talking about some shit that he kind of thinks he knows about. Okay, so I just want to get that out there. Thank you.
We didn't even get to Fred's bachelor party.
He wasn't there for Fred, if you recall. So
I know, but I have that clip.
I would have loved to talk to Grillo about it, because Grillo actually does know a lot about the Fred.
This begs for a part 2. It'd be easy to just jump right back in. There's so much more. I mean, to this.
Really? Between Fred falling down and Benji eating a girl out with a
Oh, the
Snickers
mafia
wrapper.
connections, all the you didn't even imply the Scores closes down. So Howard has to cover in 2007 when the story hits about prostitution and tax evasion and everything else.
That's fine,
Howard
but
has to
Chaunce
do
was a little bit out of the loop at that point, so it wasn't really a Chauncey discussion.
Oh, I know.
If there's somebody else we
also
want to talk to about this, I am more than happy to entertain that. It's just that it wasn't a Chauncey-related kind of thing. That's all.
This is a job for Richie Wilson.
That's all. All right, so the other boys wanted to do something about Howard interviewing the Stones tomorrow, and I'm not necessarily sure that we care enough about that. I mean,
I wouldn't mind going over. I mean, if you want to...
Well, the way it's working out, though, is that he happened to mention today, and I've listened to so little of the show, it's not even funny, but he happened to mention today that he only has, what's-his-face, for like an hour. So is he only going to do an hour show? Is he going to come on and talk a little bit and then go right into, and if that's the case, then he's literally only doing like a 1 to 2 o'clock, 2:15, 2:30 show. So I don't know. I don't know if it's worthy of talking about, but I think that it would behoove us. I mean, I would love to live listen to it and talk it through. I think that would be super fun, especially since it's at lunchtime for a lot of people who work, and we can do that. And I think that might be a fun listen through. But I think we'll get into. I wouldn't
mind going. I wouldn't mind going through it first and poking the moments.
If it's worth it. Well, if it's worth it.
If it's worth it
to.
I don't think it's worth it. Yeah, the live thing is a mess. As far as you don't know, I would rather go through it and analyze it first and get people to comment in the mockery thread, and we can maybe I could poke some old audio of him calling Jagger a pedophile and stuff. I mean, when he couldn't get him on, and
I agree, Dorian Morgan. Jagger will phone it in. No way he gives a shit about Stern. I don't even think he knows who Stern is. Gotta be honest with you. I don't know that's a thing. So don't know.
Well, there was a story. I mean, there was a story about he was gonna have Keith Richards on, and they wanted him, and he wouldn't move the show to the afternoon for him, and they botched that. This has got to be.
I think he has
8 years ago.
This is penance for him taking the whole fucking summer off. This is penance.
Yep. Yeah, he's right. Exactly right.
He
plays
basically
playing
said,
ball to an extent.
I am the new Jimmy Kimmel. I get to do whatever the fuck I want. I get paid, millions and millions of dollars, and fuck you. And they're like, okay, well, fuck you too. That means that, if we have somebody that we're going to promote or something that we need, and the Stones are going to have a station, so there's that tie-in. And who knows if they're doing other interviews on the station or whatever. But you know what? Good on you that you got a 78-year-old to finally fucking come in and be interviewed on your show, so you can talk about completely inane fucking topics with him about, how you named Sticky Fingers or, Some Girls or whatever. And it's going to be that kind of interview. And
Is Keith Richards the love of your life? Father issues.
Exactly.
They have the bingo card of Howard's questions, and you just check it off within a half hour. All the therapy 101 cliches are checked off. It certainly isn't going to tell you anything you don't know about the guy. At 78, you don't think everything's out there? I mean, he's on Jimmy Fallon like once a week. This isn't a great get. He's done Mark Maron's podcast. They act like they're the first people to book him, and it's always a little too late.
What do you mean first people? He's 78.
No, but Howard, the show acts like they do this end zone dance like 10 years too late, where they book a guest that's been on every fucking possible. Like I said, he's playing grab ass with Jimmy Fallon and every other night. So it's not a great get.
I'm loving all of these. How jealous of you and your parents. Did you cry when Charlie died?
Yeah, he's gonna ask him that. You kid. That's exactly what he's gonna say.
He will never ask him, "Did you really sleep with Bowie?" He you know what? He's
no, that's not coming up. No,
sanitized.
None of nothing hard hitting.
No,
that's the 1998 Howard is not going to be interviewing him. Rest assured.
Yeah, and Gary Puppet's right. Mick's been doing interviews for 50 fucking years, more, probably 60. What is there to learn? And the reality is, there really is nothing to learn. But, Howard's superpower is the fact that, in order to do, I guess, the Mick Jagger interview, they probably have to commit to the fact that they need to spend a solid 45 minutes with him, if not an hour. And Jagger's probably like, yeah, okay, well, hour max. That's it. That's as far as I'm going.
Do you think even something as, I guess you'd call it softball, as Billy Joel's Big Shot evidently is about Bianca Jagger? Will that come up? Howard's buddy Billy Joel? And
interesting question. Is it really about her?
Yes.
About Bianca Jagger?
Yes. His then the Studio 54
Studio
days.
54 Halston Bianca Jagger?
Yes.
No.
You and fucking Halston. By the way, Monique, tell everybody, I was trying to get this in. It was tough with the reverb, so I really wanted to let Chauncey speak the whole time, but I wanted to get this in. You lived by a score. A lot of people, you were on Beekman Place, for Christ's sake. So you must have taken pre-reacher walking past scores. What did you see at that club at all?
No, first off, Beekman Place is like 51st Street. So I never
That's
really
9th
went past
Street
59th Street. I never went past 59th Street if I could help it. I mean, there's nothing on the Upper East Side except for like a bunch of boring, ugly buildings that were post-war, all white brick and disgusting. So no, nobody ever went past there. I would bike over the 59th Street Bridge just for shits and giggles. There was always a crowd outside of Scores. Always, 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 always. And Scores was on the bottom and maybe second floor. And then right on top of that was a huge gym. And it was all glass windows. So you would always see people like working out and it was open 24 hours. So there were constantly people working out. And the girls from Scores used to go upstairs, work out, take a little like snooze in the locker room, shower, get like fixed up and go back downstairs and start work all over again. So that was like a kind of classic thing that they did. But it wasn't really my neighborhood. That's like really Upper East Side and I was more Midtown. And plus, what to see. I mean, all you saw was a bunch of, basically gindaloons coming to a nightclub and waiting outside because they didn't really let in all the guys at one time. Like any other club, they let in guys with girls and you had to be sexy at that. So whatever. And
it was actually on 60th in between 1st and 2nd Avenue, which is an odd street for
right off the 59th
club,
Street
right? Isn't it
Bridge.
kind
There's
of
not
resident?
A single human being who didn't turn to their right getting off of the Queensboro Bridge and see the people working out like on the Stairmasters and everything. So if you know New York and you're familiar with it and back in the 90s, that's exactly where Scores was. And it was kind of like a off block. There's nothing else really there. It's kind of a dark block as well. It wasn't really well lit. It was, just kind of a weird. There weren't like a bunch of high rises. They want a building on top of where the gym was, but back in the day, it wasn't like that at all. So yeah, a lot of people are asking questions in the thing, and yes, I have also had my share of stalking fucking douchebags, and they know who they are, and you can all go fuck yourselves. But yeah, I did meet Andy Warhol, and that's my wonderful missing piece of history because I was with my mom, of course, and she was
Jade Barrymore.
Grand old chat with Andy Warhol. And when Andy was getting old at the time, like his was always a little askew, and he was the color of a piece of like sheet paper, and he was very curious. He was a curious, weird little man, and Andy looked at my mom, who happens to still be gorgeous, but at the time she was stunning. And he said, I'd really love to paint you one day. And she's like, oh my God, I would love that. And I had this piece of fairly large limelight paper where Andy, signed his name, put his direct phone number and his address. And he's like, Norma, give me a call anytime. And I had that for like forever. And I don't know, just in moving and whatever, it just kind of went away, and that was all she wrote. But yeah, so it was kind of like a fun time.
We should all have the Warhol hook, Monique, just go up to any Jade Barrymore looking broad in 1981, 1982, and just go, I would love to paint you. Oh my God.
Can you fucking imagine that? But that was my mother. My mother hung out with all the monsters too, and there was a classic mom story, which I'll tell real quick because I want to get off now. But there's a classic mom story when she was hanging with all the boys, from my neighborhood. They all went out to dinner somewhere in Queens. And there was a bench in the front of this restaurant that was beautiful. It was like intricately done with all this inlay in it and whatever. And my mom happens to say to Sonny, she's like, it's a really nice bench. He's like, sweetheart, you want it? It's yours. Just like that. And just like snaps his finger. Two guys come over. They're like, take this bench for Norma. And they literally take the fucking bench out of this restaurant. These two guys put it in the back of like whatever fucking truck they had, dropped it off at our house.
That's so Sonny Black.
My dad's like, where the fuck did this bench come from? I was like, I was out with everybody last night and I just happened to mention how much I loved it and and they just got it for me. Like, classic. My mother was
Why haven't you had your mom on to regale us with stories of Xenon? Is she into this, or is it just not?
You know what? All she would do is she's never going to tell you like a great story. She's just not gonna. She's not gonna go there. She was a partier from day one, and my sister was a Playboy bunny for a while as well, and so
makes two of us.
They used to go to the Playboy Club all the time. I mean, so she was just that chick. That's all. Whatever. What are you gonna do? All right.
Great
so
Gorge, New Jersey.
That's it. That's it for tonight. Yeah. You know what? I'd love to do a show one day about like New York stories. And John, you can ask me the questions, so we could do it like that. I think that'll be fun one day. Yes, my mom is still alive, and yes, she's healthy, but she's a fucking loon. So, but yeah, I mean, she's fine. I had her on when I did a show. I don't even remember what the show was about. I think I did do like a story show one time. And then I had her come on the phone to talk about, what was it, John?
Okay.
Do you remember? When I had her come on, she was
do.
like the cutest.
God, was it? You kind of, I vaguely.
Oh, I know what it was. I know what it was. It was us talking about when she took me to go try out for Zoom in Boston.
What?
When I was a little girl and I wanted to be on Zoom, and she's like, you want to be on Zoom? You're on fucking Zoom. And she drove us up to Boston, and she's like, my daughter wants to be on Zoom. And she's like, well, your daughter's a little too young. She's like, yeah, but she deserves it, And the woman's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And
hold on, Monique. I gotta update your IMDb because all I have is Uncle Vanya on there. And
I had a comp card and the whole thing, and but the whole thing was you had to live within like 50 miles of Boston proper. And, since my dad was the only one who worked, obviously that wasn't going to happen. So, yeah. You want to see a cute picture? Hold on. I have it right here in this room.
You're so cute.
You're so cute.
I love that you were almost a chowderhead. Oh, she did leave it in the background. We never even got into Steve Sergio.
See, that's me.
Wow.
That's me when I used to model when I was a little girl.
Could you go back to that hairdo? Is there any way you could?
Oh, I love that haircut. I know.
Tony Coburn.
No, shit. I've taken 3 COVID years to fucking grow my hair out, so that's it.
Very cute, good.
All right, so that's it, guys. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Maybe or maybe not, we'll have an emergency show tomorrow. We'll all kind of take a listen to it and see whether it's worth our time. Xavier and I will be doing a Things That Go Gunk in the Night on Saturday, and we are going to be doing it on the creepiest of the creepy, which is a guy named Albert Fish. A lot of you probably don't know who he is, but he was a fucking lunatic, and he was as scary as they come. Right to Zoom! 350 Boston, Mass. 02134. Send it to Zoom. All right, guys. So thanks so much for joining us, and Johnny, thanks so much for
thank you, Chad,
hanging out with us.
Yep, good job.
All right,
throwing
sweethearts.
Us together.
Bye, everybody.